This is Camnet News. Welcome to it. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. We look at the stories making headlines. ECZ advised to emulate the Malawi electoral body. Zambia urged to push for an IMF economic bailout. Harry Kalaba maintains no position to electoral pacts. In international news, thousands flee violence in Mozambique. In sports news, FAS affiliates refine league resumption roadmap. Join me after a short break with the details.
Dr. Bigron, musaibala komutienda okuni gift na land. Uchenkubeti uibise mojo basayone. Oh! Mwina moshi, nakuletera njinga. Latest ina reverse gear na mawaipa.
Difficult, chidi ya shidi ya njinga. Liam 19 pendefcon. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipu sana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a Camnet difficult.
It's communication. We got it.
Mommy! Powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mfumile kukalale. Na mnaimo muli bankumushi. We got it. Yo Bigron, utole no leta nchemfule mungani. Get watch the post and change. 1, 2, 3. Both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
The details. The Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR, has advised the government to prudently improve the utilization of public resources by investing in productive sectors. JCTR Programs Manager Faith and Justice Innocent Ndashe says the Zambian economy is bleeding due to government's misplacement of priorities. We have the details in this report.
The emergency of COVID-19 in Zambia and across the world has affected the financial status of many people and the businesses. With the directives that are targeted at stringent health measures, many people have gone hungry. Despite the country's economic crisis, its food basket has remained at 7,100 kwacha, excluding other household basic needs for an average family. The question still stands: how many Zambians live up to this food basket? Innocent Ndashe, who welcomed government's measures to reduce the milli-meal price, has advised government to cut off the cost of living as well.
The cost of living still remains high. It still remains for Lusaka, I think, within 7,000 kwacha. Though we realize that a few commodities are actually more or less like stabilizing. You're talking of, for example, the milli-meal prices. You're talking of there are a lot of vegetables at the moment. You're talking of tomatoes, but largely I think what has happened is the prices have stabilized. But in some cases you see a few reductions, like in the price of vegetables. You're talking of tomatoes that are abundant, and of course the measure that government has put in place to reduce the price of milli-meal, which is actually a welcome move.
Mr. Ndashe, who is Programs Manager, Faith and Justice at the Zambia Center for Theological Reflection, JCTR, advises government to prudently improve the use of public resources by investing heavily into income-generating sectors.
In as much as we are saying possibly we don't have so much resource, but most of it is going to waste. So I think our call would be for government to prudently improve on how they use the scarce financial resources that they have by prudently investing, for example, in electricity generation, to ensure that people that depend on running small businesses that are in the informal sector are able to be kept active and more productive, but by ensuring that possibly there's constant supply of electricity.
The JCTR Programs Manager, Faith and Justice, also feels the economy has suffered, leaving many Zambians hungry due to government's over-dependency on the imports.
The government needs to have a clear plan, for example, on how they will address the issue of illicit power supply, to ensure that we stabilize it. I mean, we've always been talking about investing heavily into energy generation. And one region that has potential is the northern region of our country, where we've had constant rains, but there is also abundant water to ensure that even as we depend on hydropower generation, I think we need to put more investment.
He adds that ZESCO power supply has been the most challenging thing for most businesses. Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Namwinga Mwinga.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, says Zambia seriously needs a bailout package from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to support herself with a balance of payments. Speaking in an interview with Camnet TV, Center Executive Director Isaac Mwaipopo explains that Zambia's unsustainable debt has made it difficult for government to source for funds to finance both local and international debt, among other economic expenditures. He is hopeful that the bailout package, once successful, will help Zambia restore public confidence. Zambia's external debt currently stands at over $11 billion, of which 30% of the debt is owed to the Chinese government. Let's take a look.
And development, we hope that the current engagement between the government of the Republic of Zambia and the International Monetary Fund will yield some results. This is because the International Monetary Fund can help to restore public confidence, which we desperately need as a country. Public confidence in the sense that more recently a number of institutions are actually skeptical in terms of providing support to the Zambian government. It's more because the debt that we've acquired over the years has reached what is being termed as unsustainable levels. Even the International Monetary Fund has been skeptical coming on board to provide support to the Zambian government in the form of a bailout package that can help with the balance of payments. So if they reach some agreement and the International Monetary Fund agrees to come on board, it can help to restore confidence, and it can also help a great deal in the process of restructuring the debt that has accumulated, which is now estimated to be above 11 billion US dollars in terms of external debt. The huge chunk of this debt is owed to the People's Republic of China, which about a year ago was estimated to be around 30% of external debt. With regards to the recent statement issued by the Republican president, to a larger extent, COVID-19 has equally contributed to weakening the situation. This is because a number of economic activities had slowed down following the closure of our border posts that affected trade, especially.
In other news, Democratic Party President Harry Kalaba has maintained that his party is not ready for any political pacts. Mr. Kalaba says his party has the capacity to win the 2021 general elections alone. He says any party worth its salt must show that it's able to win an election independently and not based on political support from other political parties. We have the details in this report.
Congress Party NDC is considering a pact with Zambia's biggest opposition political party, the United Party for National Development UPND. Harry Kalaba's Democratic Party DP says his party will not join hands with any other political party in order to form government in the forthcoming 2021 general elections. Democratic Party President Harry Kalaba says he has made mistakes in the past, and this time around he will not join any political party as he believes his party has the capacity to win elections without any help.
This will not work. I mean, this is the same rubbish we're talking about. We are not going to allow joining another political party just simply because we have to remove one political party. We made mistakes in the past. Today we are struggling with the mistake that we made because of saying we just have to remove this one. Harry Kalaba and the DP, get it right. Harry Kalaba and the DP are not going to support any political party to go to State House. We are supporting ourselves here because we have the policies. Those people are talking about joining. They don't have ideas. They are busy trying to ride on our ideas. and you want us to go and begin supporting them because they should go into State House. Takana. If it haven't managed in the last 20 years to get there on their own, DP is not going to aid anybody. We want people who have got ideas to run the affairs of this country. Not just talking about, no, we'll do it. Tell us how we do it. This is how you are ending up now, just borrowing ideas that you are going to scrap off the loans for civil servants without telling us the methodology you're going to use. Because you keep listening to what Harakalaba and the DP are saying, then you pick what the DP are saying. We as the DP, make no mistake, and I say this with a sincere heart, with a face that is straight, make no mistake, we are not joining anybody. We are going it as Democratic Party, and we are going to work with progressive colleagues from other political parties who want to come and work with us. They are welcome, but it will not be us to go and assist somebody to become president so that he can begin settling scores. We are not doing that.
However, it seems some Zambian citizens are hyper about the planned pact of NDC and UPND, as they believe only this pact can throw out the Patriotic Front out of government. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Lusaka's Skanze police camp has continued experiencing water shortages. Residents have since complained about the continued problem, asking the top command to intervene. The details in this report.
The poor supply of water continues to haunt Lusaka residents, alas, even the civil service communities such as Skanze police camp that mainly survive on government incentives has not been spared. Speaking to various residents that choose to remain anonymous, they told Camnet TV News that the water problem in their community has tormented and affected their daily lives.
Really, people have just been taking initiative. Like you find a group of houses here in a section, they just come up with money, they buy pipes and they connect from the stadium just like that. And then there's the borehole, she runs from one somewhere near Nankani, near mobile units.
Meanwhile, when contacted for a comment, Esther Katongo police spokesperson had this to say.
The officers be coming to you instead of they know their procedure of reporting. We don't handle our internal issues through the media, no. So the officers are concerned, let them go and get the answer from the people.
As they say, water is life and surely must be a concern of priority for all communities. Reporting for Camnet TV News, Tennyson Kaonda II in Lusaka.
The ruling Patriotic Front, PF, is scheduled to distribute COVID-19 materials it has received from its well-wishers to various schools and hospitals run by churches in various districts across the country. Some of the beneficiaries will include Chilonga Mission in Mpika, another one in Kasama, Bereshi in Mwansavombwe, St. Paul's in Chelenge, Chikankata, St. Mary's in Lufwanyama, also a school and hospital in Mansa District. PF Secretary General Davis Mwila Tuesday officiated at the handover of COVID-19 materials from the Communist Party of China to Zambia's ruling party at the Chinese Embassy in Lusaka. Story and video courtesy of PF-sponsored Facebook page, Smart Eagles.
We have identified the need areas which are more vulnerable. That is the schools and clinics, our hospitals that are being run by the churches. And one of the beneficiaries will be Chilonga Mission in Mpika, and the other one in Kasama, and Bereshi in Mwansavombwe, St. Paul's in Cherenge, Chikankata, St. Mary's in Lufwanyama, and also there is a school and a hospital in Mansa. Personally, I'd assured you that I will undertake this program next week to ensure that we fight this COVID-19 together, and we expect our people to benefit from this gesture. So I want to assure you, Your Excellency, that this donation will go to the intended purpose.
Good gesture of the CPC to extend the share of efforts and goodwill and support to the Patriotic Front, and through the Patriotic Front to get the needed medical supplies, equipment to the people here in Zambia, to schools, to churches, and to the most needed institutions.
You're watching Camnet News. Just now we take a break. Join me shortly for other interesting stories.
You know I can take her a bake.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
To increase sales of your products and services, advertise on Camnet TV. Reach your clients and target markets directly and see your business grow. For special rates, you can contact our marketing department on
0955 664 305 or 0978 290 626. Camnet TV.
Not just another channel.
Welcome back. The Alliance for Community Action has urged the Zambian government through the Electoral Commission of Zambia ECZ to take a leaf from the recently held presidential election in Malawi. Institution Advocacy Officer Jimmy Maliseni is elated that the Malawi Electoral Commission MEC presided over a free and fair election at the critical moment when expectations were high within the country and across the borders. Mr. Maliseni says it was also gratifying to note that other institutions such as the security wings also exhibited professionalism during and after the elections. He has since called for capacity building in Zambian institutions going into 2021 general elections. Mr. Maliseni says ECZ must start building confidence among citizens that it can also deliver a free and impartial elections. Let's look at this report.
Africa seems to have witnessed an outbreak of happiness in Zambia's neighbor country Malawi, which recently had elections which saw the winning of Lazarus Chakwera and the outgoing of Peter Mutharika. Now, according to sources, there was wind of change in Malawi, starting from government institutions. The changing of government in Malawi seems to have pleased citizens in this country. Just as you can see in this video, even the men and women in uniform are celebrating the change of government. To bring it back to Zambia, some have acknowledged the wind of change is now in Zambia.
The wind of change in Zambia is definitely there. But like we have learned from Malawi, the wind of change in itself is never sufficient. What is important is what is that change that the people want, and should the institutions of governance or the institutions that are responsible for running of the affairs of the country must be able to respect the people's will, must be able to respect the people's wind of change, whatever change that may be.
Now, Alliance for Community Action says the wind of change alone cannot see the opposition in power, as many aspects are required, such as the independence of government institutions. Alliance for Community Action Information and Advocacy Officer Jimmy Maliseni says Zambians citizens should learn from Malawi's free and fair elections, which were supported by the building and strengthening of arms of government.
Leaders across the continent must take a leaf from Malawi that the will of the people will always prevail, no matter how strong, no matter how much power you do have. But specifically to the question of what specific lessons we can draw from Malawi, it is the strength of institutions. So the Malawian election, first of all, brings out the power that is vested in the people, proving that the leaders that govern our countries govern at the people's pleasure. But most importantly, the people were aided by very strong and very credible institutions, beginning with the Malawi Defense Force, which in basic comparisons would be equivalent to our Zambia Army. The third lesson in that is the fact that the Malawi police, like our own police, tried to stop the will of the people, tried to stifle the people from protesting, and they went onto the street and started beating up the people. It took the former chief of the army to deploy his troops on the streets to allow the people to peacefully protest. Of course, there were outbreaks of violence here and there, but generally the mass protests that were against the initial dubious vote that Malawi delivered was peaceful by the people of Malawi.
He further went ahead and congratulated Malawians on their choosing of a new government and added, the will of the people will always prevail, no matter how much power you have. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Still on the same item, the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR Programs Manager, Faith and Justice, Innocent Ndashe, has implored ECZ to redeem itself as MEC has done. Mr. Ndashe says Malawi's achievements can be replicated in Zambia. He has since called for peace among political parties going into 2021 general elections.
What we can learn from there, really, I think that various dimensions. One of them is, I think, the people stood by demanding on accountability of those that were running elections. They realized our election does not depict what we voted for, and they protested. So. But then for them to protest, we could see that there were so many forces that had to play. I mean, the police would want to stop them, but there was also the army that came in to allow the situation to say, no, people have the democratic right. So that's one point, that to say that those that are entrusted with public offices, I think we need to operate within, I think, the realms of the law. So by allowing people to protest, express themselves, I think that's a good move that we could pick from there. So I think if we are talking about holding and looking forward to the 2021 general election in Zambia, if everything has to be fair, everything, if we need to preserve the peace that we've enjoyed over the years, I think one of our core is that the institutions such as the Electoral Commission of Zambia, I think it's time that they copied from our friends there, that you need to be more transparent, more consultative at any stage of preparing for holding of the general elections.
Interesting views there directed to the Electoral Commission of Zambia. In other news, the Zambia Direct Democracy Movement, ZDDM, has petitioned Parliament to pass the controversial Constitution Amendment Bill number 10 of 2019. ZDDM Vice President Charles Kafumbo, while reading the petition, says the bill is progressive as it shall safeguard mixed member representation in Parliament and the councils. We have more in this report.
The Direct Democracy Movement is today delivering a petition to the Honorable National Assembly. And if you remember, today is International Parliamentarian Day. So what we are saying is our petition with this very important day, I think is in support. Our petition is on Bill 10, which is in support of Bill 10. Allow me to read it. Form for filing petition National Assembly, Standing Order number 160, clause 3. To the Honorable House, the petition reads as follows: respectfully request that the National Assembly of Zambia, Roman 1, debate the Bill number 10 of the National Assembly of Zambia 2019 and enacts it into law, as the said bill is progressive and shall safeguard the rights of the marginalized groups, women, youths, and persons living with disability, Parliament and councils. Roman 2, the enactment of Bill 10 into law shall enable election petition be heard within 30 days, unlike the current situation of 14 days. 2, our petition is that Parliament debate and enact the Electoral Process Reform Act number 25 of 2016, and to have nomination fees be an act of Parliament, unlike now, where it is prescribed in subsidiary laws, making it vulnerable to change by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Our third point in our petition is that, number 3, Parliament debates and repeals the Public Order Act, chapter number 113 of the Laws of Zambia of 1955, amended in 1966, and by resolution, Parliament enacts the Public Gathering Act.
Following President Edgar Lungu's reopening of all international airports in the country to boost the economy, economist Yusuf Dodia has called for the Zambia National Airport Corporation to reconsider reinstating all workers it had laid off in view of the coronavirus pandemic. Mr. Dodia explains that since the marshalling flights require enough labor, it is only wise that all workers who were laid off be recalled. Details in this report.
The impact of COVID-19 in Zambia has pushed businesses, both public and private, to lay off workers in order to accommodate what is termed as the essential workers, a small group that a company can accommodate with payments during this economic shutdown. Some non-international airports have not been exempted from this exercise. Following the most recent presidential address by the head of state, Edgar Lungu, that all international airports across Zambia were to open but under strict adherence levels, a local-based economist, Yusuf Dodia, has advised the Zambian Airport Corporation Limited to get back the workers that were removed from the operations to ensure that there is adequate manpower.
So the opening up of our international airports basically is going to have an impact in these areas. Now, the challenge we have had is that, yes, we can open up the international airports, but does that mean that flights will come into Zambia? Not necessarily. There are airlines who have had to put their workers on forced leave. Other airlines have actually fired some of their workers because they were unable to continue keeping them on their payroll, which means many airlines are going to suffer the challenge of coming back into business with reduced staff, with reduced finances. So there is quite a big challenge for airlines to come back into business in any meaningful way. So for Zambia, we have a two-step approach. One is to say, here we are, we're going to open our international airports and prepare the staff through the Zambia Airports Corporation Limited to make sure the staff are there, they're available to see passengers come in and passengers go out. And of course, through the input of the Ministry of Health, we have to make sure that we have testing and screening centers and even a quarantine center at all our airports to make sure that those passengers who are coming into Zambia are screened and tested for COVID-19, and if necessary, they are put in quarantine at the airport before being sent to a treatment and quarantine center across the country.
Mr. Dodia says it is saddening that the key economic sectors that are directly linked to the airlines, such as the arts and tourism industry, have been badly affected.
Of course, there's going to be some thoughts around how to attract passengers to come on board, because we have an economic recession across the world. Airline fares shot up during the pandemic period, and we need to see these fares coming down to acceptable levels that will attract passengers to actually board aircraft and fly out of Zambia and into Zambia. So I think there's quite a few challenges that need to be addressed in order to ensure that the air transport comes back into full swing and starts to prosper for the benefit of the Zambian economy.
Calling upon the Ministry of Health and the Zambian Airport Corporation Limited to partner in the fight against COVID-19 for the safety of the flights. Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Zambia, Namwinga Mwinga.
In other news, the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia has expressed worry at the shortage of desks in schools in view of the possible opening of pupils for non-examination classes. In a statement to Camnet TV, Organization Executive Director Aaron Chansa explains that NACES is of the view that the schools in Zambia would not be in a position to accommodate more learners apart from examination classes. Mr. Chansa adds that the critical shortage of desks, especially in rural areas where pupils sit on the floor whilst learning, need about 1.3 million kwacha to remedy.
As we have a crisis in terms of desks in our schools, we strongly doubt if it will be possible for non-examination classes to be brought on board in terms of learning. And available statistics are indicating that the ministry will require more than 1.3 million desks, and this will require a lot of money. And again, the pictures that are coming out of schools, where some of our learners are even sitting on the floor while learning, are very embarrassing, very ugly, and giving our education system a very bad name. And our demand now is that the Minister of Finance should be able to release money that should be able to allow the Minister of Education to afford these desks. Otherwise, if this is not will not be done, then those learners that are at home today may not see a class for 2020, and this is going to damage our education system for the country. Thank you.
This is Camnet Main News. We take our final break. When we're back, we look at international and sports news. Stay with us.
Can I have that meal over there? And I really want that crispy, fresh apple taste in the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my big bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka. Give us your
enjoy an appetizing big bite meal with an happy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an happy drink. And now introducing Happy in a can.
Welcome back. We look at international stories. Nearly 1,000 people have been killed and more than 200,000 displaced by an armed group in northern Mozambique. The fighters say they reject the government and want to establish political Islam. The army has failed to contain it and has itself been accused of rights abuses. Just now, we look at sports news. The Football Association of Zambia FAZ and its members have zeroed in on the guidelines provided by the Ministry of Health with their eye firmly on kicking off the league on July 18th. FAZ President Andrew Kamanga has thanked President Edgar Lungu for heeding the cry of the football fraternity to reopen the league, albeit behind closed doors. And Director of Sports John Zulu says the first match on July 18th will be a crucial one in signaling the return of the game. FAZ held a meeting with Super League and National Division 1 teams from Southern, Central and Lusaka, while the rest of the provinces will convene on Thursday in Ndola. Kamanga said that FAZ had decided to engage the members to ensure that all the matters around the guidelines are clarified. Zambia Premier League interim manager Brian Mulenga told the gathering that fixtures will be tailored in such a way that teams with the games in hand will kickstart their resumption. Mulenga said that the structure was meant to ensure that teams like Zesco caught up with the rest of the teams. That interesting football item for the football lovers brings us to the end of our news. But before we go, the headlines once again. ECZ advised to emulate the Malawi Electoral Commission. Zambia urged to push for an IMF economic bailout. Harry Kalaba maintains no position to electoral pact. In international news, thousands flee violence in Mozambique. And in sports news, FAZ affiliates refine league resumption roadmap. Well, just now, we take a look at the Camnet verse for the day, and it's coming from 2 Corinthians 13, verse 18, and it reads, "For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth." And remember to mask up. We are still in the COVID season, or rather sanitize your hands and wash them regularly with soap to prevent the spread of COVID-19. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Thank you so much for staying with us. Keep watching Camnet TV.